everybody, we're talking fireworks today with Wichita Fire Marshal Brad Chris. Specifically, we're going to be talking about a survey that the fire department's conducting.
Right.
Fire Marshal Chris, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, tell me a little bit about what you guys are wanting to do with the survey.
Well, we've got a survey put up at activate-wichita.gov, and we're asking folks who live in our community to go to that website and read up on what the fireworks issue is here in Wichita. There's all kinds of information on there. There's information from what happened last year as far as accidents and incidents, fires, things like that, injuries. There's also background information about how our ordinance is different than all the other communities around us, including the state of Kansas. And then there's an opportunity to answer some questions in the survey, and a lot of those questions are things like, are fireworks an issue in our community? What do you want to do? And we're asking people to give us their ideas for any changes that they may want to see come our way as we move into the future.
About how many questions is the survey?
I think there's 5 questions on the survey, so it's really short, it's really quick and simple. You do have to register to take the survey, but they don't ask a ton of questions, and it's simply so that we can gauge where you're from at in our community.
To make sure that the people who are taking the survey actually live here?
Correct.
Will you talk a little bit about, what you see year after year on the 4th of July and kind of what the situation is here?
It's pretty steady year to year. People are able to drive into communities just outside of Wichita and buy fireworks which aren't actually legal to shoot in Wichita. So every year when you're driving down the street, you see mortar shells and Saturn missile batteries and Roman candles going off, and those are illegal in Wichita. That kind of activity does result in some fire calls for the fire department. We make 5 or 6, 7 structure fires a year in a 10-day time frame. The fireworks season for Wichita is actually June 27th through midnight July the 5th. And so we track all of that information and we look at those kinds of things. We look at the dollar loss that happens. We look at the number of fires that happen, both structure fires and grass fires and fence fires. We look at the number of injuries that occur, and usually in that time frame, in that 10-day window, there's about 50 fireworks-related injuries, typically burns, that happen, and folks go to the hospital and get medical treatment for that. So we track all that data. We've made all that data available at the Activate Wichita website, so people can really read up on it. They can see what the current ordinance reads like. They can even do research and look at what the state statute says.
And so why is it so important to the fire department to gather all of this information?
Well, we want to know what folks in this community want. Obviously, we're obligated to enforce the current ordinances that we have now, and it's very tough to do. It's a very difficult thing to enforce fireworks ordinances in Wichita because fireworks are typically used at night. They're in people's backyards, or they're in commons areas around lakes or ponds and things like that, and it's tough to see illegal fireworks being used. It's tough to enforce it when we are trying to track down who's using them, and we're not convinced that our current ordinance meets with the expectations of this community. So we're really interested in what folks who live here have to say about fireworks, and if we should make changes, we need to know what they have to say about it.
And so how long do people have to be able to take the survey?
The survey is open until mid-July. So it's open now, it's open through the 4th of July holiday season, and it will be open afterwards as well. And so there's plenty of time to go take the survey.
And so then after the survey closes, you get all the information, what do you do next?
Well, okay, so we'll compile the results. We track all those things that I've talked about, including 911 calls that come into the 911 center. And we'll take all of that information, we prepare a report, which ultimately goes to the manager and his staff and city council. And then I would imagine we'll probably have a discussion about what, if any, changes we need to make for our fireworks ordinance.
Anything else you want people to know about the survey?
Survey, go to it, please. It's activate-wichita.com. Take the survey, make your voice be heard.
While we're on the subject of fireworks, it probably makes sense to pick your brain for a few safety tips.
Sure, absolutely. Fireworks can be dangerous, but common everyday sense is going to help you avoid injury, and it's going to help you avoid fire. So for example, with fireworks, don't let children use fireworks unsupervised. Make sure that there's an adult there who's responsible for what's going on and keeping an eye on the kids. We always encourage folks to use fireworks in their driveway or in the vicinity immediately in front of their house on a nice, level, hard surface that won't burn, right? So don't do it in the grass or right up against your house. Have a garden hose nearby. You know, put a nozzle on the garden hose so it's not wasting water. But in the event that there's a burn injury, or in the event that there's a small fire, you've got the garden hose there to cool off the injury or to put out the small fire. And you know, one of the biggest things is use legal fireworks. Use the fireworks that you can buy in your own community and use them in your own community. If you live in Wichita, don't go to Andover and buy fireworks and bring them back, because they're illegal. And if we catch you with them, there's a likelihood that we're going to confiscate those illegal fireworks, and we're going to write you a ticket. And that fine can be up to $2,500 or a year in jail if you're found guilty.
Wow, I bet people don't realize how stiff the penalties are.
Yeah, fireworks are expensive, but the citation that comes with them is even more expensive. So we really want to encourage folks to buy the fireworks that you intend to use here in Wichita.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching the City 7 News Now update. We encourage you to go fill out the survey and have a safe and happy 4th of July holiday.